we're here to talk about character creation in L5R. We have three of the usual suspects. We have Monty, we have Sar, we have Emma, but we have a new face, a new voice on our stream, and that's Jeremy. Now, you might not recognize Jeremy, but you've definitely heard about Jeremy. Jeremy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. I was mentioned, I think, maybe 2 or 3 streams ago, because I'm the person that wrote about both Asians represent and you guys work with Oriental Adventures for the Huffington Post. And if you look online, I think it's an article under the HuffPost where it's like, it says something like D&D's Oriental Adventures book gets a disclaimer or something like that. If you Google Dungeons and Dragons in HuffPost, there's only two recent articles that have been written about D&D, and they're both by me. So for that article, I spoke with both Dan and Steve, and we just, the goal was to take what you guys had done with Oriental Adventures and kind of bring it to an audience that is not really familiar with the tabletop scene, because the news had gotten big enough by that point that, okay, something was happening with Dungeons and Dragons, something was happening in this in this space. How can a mainstream audience understand it? And I play D&D. I'm a big fan of tabletop RPGs, and I'm a fan of the work that you guys did. And I was like listening to every stream that you guys were doing on L5R because I'm a fan of L5R too.
Yeah.
And so I had the privilege of talking with you guys. Now I'm here to hopefully talk about my experiences with L5R, as well as my Lion Clan character, who I have a picture of right there. Yeah,
I love it when people draw their characters on their character
that's
sheets.
my thing. Yeah, my well, she started out as a Lion Clan warrior, though, basically because of a lot of the you know a lot of the things that you guys have talked about have really tied into in how my character has developed inadvertently, and so she's barely like a Lion Clan character at all now. And it's interesting that we're talking about the Crab Clan character today because I originally devised my L5R character based off of the characters that were available in the beginner's box of the game. And a Crab Clan character was not available in the core beginner's box
Mhm.
characters. And if there had been a Crab Clan character, I probably would have played as Crab.
Somebody has
There
already asked.
is.
Somebody already asked Jeremy, "What is your clan of choice?" Having played L5R.
So I do like the Crab Clan for all the reasons that you guys have said. The Falcon Clan, because and I wanna to stress, I'm not an L5R expert. Like Sar knows way more than me. I've really only been playing the game for maybe like a year and a half, so my knowledge is still a little basic in some regards. But the Falcon Clan I like that kind of ghost busting aspect to them, I believe.
Yeah.
And so interestingly enough, there are things about the Unicorn Clan that I also like, and I know you guys have pointed out problematic aspects of them, but there are certain aspects of them that also appeal to me. But I think those mostly come from my own experiences and are not really part of the game's lore surrounding the Unicorn Clan at all.
Yeah, because I think like that's a really interesting point because I mean you could take something like the Unicorn Clan, which I think we unanimously were like, oh, this feels a little icky when we did that stream, and you could probably take that and tell an interesting story and have good positive characters and be like, hey, I like my Unicorn Clan character, but it's kind of divorced from what is
Yeah.
established in the lore.
And that's basically my Lion Clan character. And like as far as the Unicorn character goes, I mean, sorry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of them, without having dived too deep into the lore, is that they are a clan from Rokugan that was kind of exiled and then came back and are now kind of the outsiders in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't really exiled, more like self-imposed exile, but
Yeah. So the reason the Unicorn Clan appeals to me, and this is just based off of my basic reading of the rules, is that to me that sounds like a person leaving their country for whatever reason and then coming back to their country, which mirrors a certain experience that I had in my 20s. Like my mom is Taiwanese, and I spent most of my 20s in Taiwan and Hong Kong, and so I had that like Asian American experience of going back to the motherland and then feeling kind of out of place and assessing my identity when I was in that arena. to me, Unicorn Clan sounds like a chance to channel that experience into a character.
Yeah.
That could just be completely be me, but to me, it sounds like a chance to like do the whole Asian diaspora kind of thing, which is what I would do if I was making a Unicorn Clan character. But maybe that's completely devoid of the game's lore and rules.
I mean, that's the interesting thing, because it's like that's where I think we've all been struggling with L5R. It's like you could use some of these tools to tell cool stories, like the Asian diaspora story with the Unicorn Clan. I'd 100% play that.
Yeah.
Like straight up. But it's like I kind of struggle with L5R because so much of it is rooted in the lore that I kind of have a hard time with it. So Jeremy, welcome to the stream.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here. Again, you're welcome to like join us for future ones. We've got, I mean, I think we've maxed out on our screen. So we've maxed out on the screen. But I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad you're able to join us. Sorry, Steve.
If we can bring in other Asian voices and stuff,
Smaller.
Happy to step aside for a little bit, because the more voices we get into this, the richer this experience is going to be. And this is one of the like really positive things that you, Daniel, really set us up for. So
and
much love and appreciation.
One of the things I'm trying to do for those who are watching is I've increased my cursor size and made it purple, just so everyone can see it. Go to your ease of access settings. So we are on chapter 2 of the core rulebook. So if you want to follow along, we are actually going to do something a little, I won't say it's unorthodox. It's just we're going to go clan by clan. So last time we streamed, Sar said, hey, if we're going to do character creation, we should just do the Crab Clan. We'll go through all of the questions that as they relate to the Crab Clan, and then once we're done Crab Clan, we'll go and we'll do the next clan, and so on and so forth. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we're going to have one stream, ideally, 1 or 2 streams for each clan, and then we'll move from there. So where do we want to start? Do we want to read through some of, I mean, we don't need to worry about the character sheet section or anything like that.
No, the only thing I'm just going to say is the game of 20 question is just, and I'm not even going to read. I'm just going to do a synopsis. When the first RPG came out in '97, the character creation was the game of 20 questions, and from there you decide, which clan you are, what family you are, what school you go to, as well as advantages, disadvantages, and all this other stuff. So it's a really nifty thing. And just a little shameless plug here, it is up on YouTube. But myself, Trevor Cuba, Jeannie Calvar, and Mike Corvar, we hosts on the Court Games podcast. Jeannie and Mike are on the RPG side. Trevor and I were on the LCG side. We actually got together and did a game of 20 questions where we created what would be our Rokugani persona. So I'll send a link up to that. It's on YouTube. Audio may be a little bit iffy. It was my first time around. I was just trying to create content at the start of lockdown.
Hey, that's cool. We have 2 of our mods are actually in the chat right now. Drew and Peter, if you could find that, it's Court Games Pod.
Oh no, it's under my
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually have it. I just got to pull it up here.
Yeah, just send us the link and we'll post that in the chat. So let's get to this. I like that there's a little sidebar on creating NPCs as well. So are there actually there's an actually 20 questions? You're just using
there are actually 20 questions.
Oh snap!
At the end, there are actually 20 questions, with the 20th question being. And the 20th question generally does not have an impact on the gameplay at all, but your GM will definitely know it. The 20th question is, how will your character die?
That's an interesting question.
I found it really interesting from like a game design perspective. It's cool to like tell your GM how I want my character's story to essentially end, or they would stop being an active participant in their own story. I thought it was really, really cool. On the other hand, I was kind of like, it really does lend the game an air of like, let's really focus on death. And I had mixed feelings about it. I thought when I was reading through it, I'm like, this is kind of cool. And then I was thinking more about it. I'm like, I feel like the game's really telling me that I should really focus on death and loss in this game. And maybe that's true for like a lot of other L5R games, but that is how like the text was kind of signaling to me what I should be prepared for in a typical L5R game.
I would agree. I do like how games kind of provide built-in mechanisms for how your character can exit the narrative. But exiting the narrative is different from dying. Like in Urban Shadows. Have any of you played Urban Shadows? So Monty's played. Steve, you haven't played it?
No,
I feel like,
I'm a tabletop RPG baby.
I feel like you'd really like it, Steve. Emma, we gotta run a TTRPG for you one of these days.
Yeah.
But in Urban Shadows, each of the different playbooks, which represent essentially a class, has something called corruption. So, for instance, if you are playing the hunter, you can mark corruption when you harm an innocent person in the pursuit of a supernatural entity. As you get corrupt, your character actually gets more powerful. You can pick new moves and everything like that. But if you get too corrupt, it gets to the point where your character actually exits the narrative. Maybe they tap into their monstrous side and they lose control. Or if you're a hunter, you lose your humanity and you're just, no longer the hunter you once were. Or you just simply die. But I like that instead of saying like, yeah, how are you going to die? So let's start. Question 1, what clan does your character belong to? The 7 great clans of Rokugan have ruled in the name of the Emperor since the founding of the Emerald Empire. And generations of legendary heroes have fought and died to maintain their power, prestige, and influence. A samurai of one of the great clans is inheritor to a weighty legacy. Each clan has an ancient and unique assortment of beliefs and ideals it imparts upon its members, set forth by the clan's founding kami and developed over the centuries. When creating a character, you should choose a clan whose culture and values you find interesting from a storytelling standpoint. Whether your character wishes to rigidly adhere to these structures, chafes under the pressure of them, or perhaps does a bit of both. Clan identity is very important to who your character is and how they exist in the world. That's pretty solid.
Yeah,
I think it's important that we point out. I think it's really important that we point out good things, and I love how they're like, pick a clan based on how narratively interesting you find them. This isn't like a stat thing. This isn't a min-maxing thing. Just what story do you want to tell, and pick a clan based on that. So then we have some information on your rings, skills, honor, glory, status. But okay, these are all determined by questions. Okay.
Yep.
So Crab Clan. So the first question is, what's your clan? And the first option is the Crab Clan. And I think that's what we're going to be focusing on. I want to actually start with the little blue sidebar on Crab Clan culture. In comparison with the rest of Rokugan, the Crab Clan is rowdy, direct to the point of rudeness, and tends to look for pragmatic solutions. Weakness from the individual is weakness for the group, for a single failure can bring down disaster upon all. After all, what honor or respite can be expected from the foe when your enemies are goblins, demons, and other monstrosities? Uh-oh, we lost Sar. Oh no, the overlay.
The overlay. Ooh. That's okay.
That's all you're worried about.
We'll switch it. There we go.
Overlay took a hit.
Oh, Producer Daniel.
There we go. Fixed. I got all of them except for... Oh, no. Sar's back.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
There we go.
Producer Daniel will just switch it right back. There it is.
I'll switch it right back, and then I just got to now change all of the handles. So, Steve, do you want to take over?
I am DM Steve now. Temporarily, I have become Steve.
I would love to continue on. So let's just talk about the Crab Clan. So if you're the Crab Clan, you get +1 to Earth, +1 Fitness. Your status starts at 30, and as we go through your schools and other parts of character creation, your status could increase or decrease, generally increase. At the southern border of Rokugan stands a grim miracle, the Caillou Wall, stretching like a great puckered scar along the landscape. Its slate gray blocks fitted together seamlessly into a structure 30 feet thick and 100 feet tall. To the south loom the blighted Shadowlands, the domain of the corrupted armies of Jugoku. And to the north lie the lands of the Crab Clan, the wall's crafters and defenders. The Crab Clan are known as guardians and warriors, slayers of monsters and protectors of the realm. Even those who do not fight with weapon often wage war with their minds and words, securing key supplies for their clan, maintaining alliances to guarantee support of the wall, or engineering new technologies to turn back the endless hordes of the Shadowlands. I'm going to pause there because that line right there does a ton of work. Because if you were to fresh read this, like I was when I first went through it, it kind of talks about like you're just like fighters and warriors and you're all about violence. But here they talk about how engineering and innovation is a value that's valued by them. And that does a lot of work, I think, of like deconstructing and making the game accessible and allowing people to tell the stories they want to. Gonna keep going though. However, the Crab Clan's task often weighs heavily upon the disciples of the Kami Hida. They are known as taciturn, battle-weary, or even disillusioned. The glories of the battlefield are scant reward, and surviving to fight another day can seem its own punishment at times when facing such relentless threats. Still, these people find ways to live and express themselves, and many revel in the small joys that life provides them. I already made a comment, but...
Go ahead, Steve.
No, I already made my comment. I just love the engineering part. I think that's great.
They like to party.
Yeah, they do. They do. Oh, yeah, they do.
I feel like if you were like unfamiliar with L5R and you just read this little piece about the Crab Clan, I feel like that could be the basis for its own entire RPG. Just like playing, everyone's just Crab Clan. Everyone, there's no clans. Everybody's just defenders of this wall.
I guess do a whole micro RPG, and it's just
could
like
be a whole micro RPG.
You're on the wall. It's just call it on the wall. And,
on the wall. There you go. Right
and you're just the Crab Clan, and you have like a party stat, you have an engineering stat, you have a loyalty stat.
Oh, you have to have the taint stat too, because the one thing the Crab has, because they're so close to the Shadowlands, a lot of their warriors get tainted, and if they get tainted, they get put into what's called the Army of the Damned.
That wasn't mentioned before. Whoa, hold up. So is there a mechanic for that?
There is. It's later on.
It's called Shadowlands Taint.
Shadowlands. It's a Shadowlands Taint, and the Shadowlands book does go into further details about what happens to you when you get tainted. But basically, if you get tainted, there is no cure for the taint. Once you're tainted, and if you get too badly tainted, then you become what you're fighting, basically. And there is a legion. There's a legion called the Army of the Dead. The Legion of the Damned. And basically, these are tainted crab soldiers, or even tainted, samurais from other clans who are put into this unit, and their thing is just go out and do as much damage before you die, or until we have to kill you.
I'm just
I think
trying
it's a character option too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can start off with like paint and stuff. So.
That's neat.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have these questions here in red. What does your character know? All Crab Clan characters have a greater awareness of the following topics. You have a general awareness of the politics within Crablands. You can name major family heads and other leaders, and you know their respective positions and allegiances. You can identify common Shadowlands creatures such as goblins, ogres, and zombies, and you know how to dispatch them. Pretty cool. You grew up hearing stories and songs of heroes who face greater evils, still, such as Oni, but you likely have not encountered such horrors personally. You know too well the befouling taint of the Shadowlands and how best to avoid it, and you can recognize the advanced stages of this unnatural corruption. Next is, what does Bushido mean to your clan? Courage is the greatest virtue in Crablands, for the Kami Hida placed an especially grave task on the shoulders of his descendants. The crab safeguard the most perilous border of the Emerald Empire, warding it against the hordes of Fulung. What are those?
The
Fulung.
The terrible.
The hordes.
Fulung is one of the
gods.
Got it. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's the Chinese god.
He's the Chinese god. That's right. We were like, wait.
The Chinese god controlling the Oni.
Because Steve is the expert on the book that we weren't reading.
For the first chapter, yeah.
First chapter.
Yeah.
The consequences of failure are obvious and dreadful to contemplate. Rough and warlike, the crab have never truly adopted the strict social refinement the other clans have come to demand of their constituents, and so courtesy is defined somewhat more loosely for the crab. See page 301 for more information about how these affect your honor and glory.
So when I first read through this, the thing that really stood out for me that like really resonated that I liked a lot is the idea that through your cultural upbringing of being in the crab clan, you get some knowledge. You are passed down like knowledge and things like that and skills. And it's not tied to, I was very much in like a D&D mind. It's not tied to your race. You can think back to old D&D games where if you were a dwarf, your biological like upbringing made you good against giants. And it was like, that's a very bizarre thing.
It's that
just kind of break down.
bioessentialism of D&D.
Yeah. And like most people will just kind of read it. It's like, okay, I guess I'll play along. But as like things go on and as it like begins to have effects on other things, you know, it's as marginalized folks, you can begin to see the harm that it could possibly do. And generally 99% of the time, I bet most people didn't find any harm at their tables, but it existed. And it was hard to reconcile. And when I read through this, I was like, wow, what a relief to have things like knowledge and skills tied not to my blood, but to my cultural upbringing. That was really nice.
Think of it this way. Think of Rokugan as the United States and think of the clans as states. Like, as a Californian, I know who are, like the states of California. I know, like, the natural resources of California. I know where the best beaches and where the best tacos are in California, right? Think of, and as somebody who's in Vancouver or New York, you know all that stuff too about your state. So it's just kind of like, this is just like, it's natural for you to know this because you live here.
Yeah, I like that. It'd be really interesting, and I've been thinking about this as I've been listening to you folks. What if, the question of what does Bushido mean to your, if I were to kind of reframe a lot of L5R, the question of what does Bushido mean to your clan, I might leave that open-ended for the player. It'd be really interesting to see a game where each player plays a member of a different clan. So if you are, say, the Crab Clan samurai in this collective, you get to answer the question of what Bushido means to your clan, maybe based on the information that you're given here. Same with if you're in the Dragon Clan, what does Bushido mean to you? And you give that, sort of control to the player. I wish they had that. There are games like Fellowship, it's another TTRPG, where you play as representatives of different fantasy ancestries. So if you are the elf, you get to basically be the expert on what the elves do. It'd be kind of cool if they did that here. But I don't see anything like bad about the Crab Clan. I'm still into the Crab Clan.
I quite like how they. Oh, sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
I just quite like how they're the clan that's sort of engaged on the front line trenches. Like, they're fighting this battle, and they know all about these threats to Rokugan that a lot of the other clans don't necessarily have experience with, and I like the idea of them kind of interacting with the other clans and the storytelling potentialities that might emerge from that. Like, when I've played L5R, I've played with a couple guys who have been Crab Clan members, and they tend to mostly like kind of play as sort of like big brawlers with like tetsubos who are like walking around being like talking about war stories on the wall and stuff like that, which is one way to do it, I think. But I think I just think that this particular clan has a lot to it that the other clans didn't really grip me with at first.
One thing you gotta.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Apologies. But the one thing you got to understand is the only safeguard, the only protection against the taint is Jade, right? The crab is kind of like they're a victim of their own success, if that makes sense, because they do such a good job of defending stuff from against the Shadowlands that not a lot got barely anything, actually nothing got through the wall. And so right now the rest of the empire kind of don't believe them that they're actually fighting the Shadowlands. Like the Imperial Chancellor in the new storyline, Kakita Yoshi, by the way, he is an asshole. Hideyoshi basically flat out told the crab delegation, "Look, how do we even know you actually need this jade? How do we even know what you're fighting is real?" So what the crab has done, because they're pragmatic, is they actually have started working with the Mantis clan and getting the jade they need that way, which they usually steal from the Crane clan.
Mm-hmm. That's
For
cool.
me, the thing that stands out is they just kind of sound tired. Despite the fact that they are initially said to be like rowdy and all of this, it's like they have to face so much reality that they don't have time for the rest of everything else.
Maybe it's a facade. Right,
they just sound
that rowdy
tired
personality.
AF, and I can relate to some of the
Yeah.
They really are the clan. They just kind of like all the other clan, like the Phoenix. They get to sit in the library and just write scrolls all the time, and when they're done, they get to cut loose in Gisei Toshi. The dragon. They are in the mountains all day. The crab. They're actually fighting every single day of their life. They're fighting something or someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's keep going unless anybody has anything more. So we've done question 1. Pick your clan. Let's say we picked crab. Let's go to question 2. So we're going to scroll through because we're going to revisit all of this. So if you're watching, we will go back and we'll talk about the Scorpion clan for Steve, and we'll do all that. So hey, crab clan.
Scorpions also have pincers, like
Crab clan.
Let
okay.
me tell you.
Scorpions
fair.
don't do this.
Fun fact, the first year of the game, first year of the card game, the best deck was a Scorpion Crab combo deck, and we called that the Pincer Alliance.
That makes sense.
I feel you.
Wait, that could also be a mantis.
As we go,
This is a mantis.
As we go number 2, I
Mantis
really
style.
have to ask this for our guests here. Do any of y'all own like jade jewelry or like jade artifacts that like family gives you? I know Daniel, you wear yours, and I respect that.
I never
But
take it
doll,
off.
y'all have a piece of jade?
I do.
don't.
Yeah, I have jade that my grandmother gave me that I do not wear. It's in a little box, and I just don't really touch it, but it's there. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I probably wouldn't wear it because I'd be afraid of it falling off and breaking.
I have a jade ring that belonged to my grandfather, and I stepped on it and broke it.
Not see, there you go, right then and there.
It's in pieces in a box right now. So.
No.
Oh no!
The question is, will it still protect you from the Shadowlands taint?
It will.
Obviously
It will.
not. I
Broken
obviously
jade
didn't-
will.
It
so
actually
good.
will. It will. It will still protect you. All
Well, I
you
dishonored my
need,
ancestors, so
if you 1 week, I believe the mechanic is 1 week of protection is 1 finger of jade, and a finger of jade literally is a finger of jade.
That's so much. That's so expensive. Like modern standards,
Yeah.
think about it. Like, oh my god.
Well, as long as Monty's taint is preserved, then I'm happy.
Yeah,
for
we
this.
just want to make sure Monty's taint is protected.
just send me over the wall. I'll do as much damage as I can.
I don't have enough jade, fam. I broke mine. Let's go.
Come on, let's go. Give me the Tetsubo. I'll just go ahead and smash some goblins until until you have to kill me.
See ya.
I got my one taint joke in. I'm good. I'm good for the rest of this.
I've been trying not to, and now they're like,
Well
It's
done,
hard.
Steve. Good
now
job,
they're
good
like,
job.
protect Monty's taint.
What have I done?
Yeah.
No, go for it, Daniel.
No, I was just about to say there was like a 10-minute period when the chat, everybody was just like taint.
Taint. I was watching it. Someone was like, "Steve, you're trying so hard not to make a taint joke."
I'm trying not to laugh, but yeah.
Mm.
You can't say taint and not
No, you
laugh
really
a
can't.
little.
It's a game to have fun. Let's have fun.
Let's have fun.
It is.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say Monty's character didn't have enough jade, got taken over, didn't protect the taint, got turned into like a Shadowlands creature. Now Monty's making a new character. Monty has picked the Crab Clan once again because the GM promised more jade. Now we're on question 2. What family does your character belong to?
I just want to say before we start that I love the artwork on this page.
Oh,
If you scroll up a little bit, the Crab Clan armor, like this artwork alone made me more interested in L5R than I was previously. Before I had played the game, when I was looking at it in a game store, and I was a little bit hesitant because I was, I Yeah, just like as a person with Asian blood, I'm kind of sick of samurai lore in general. Like I wish they would make more games about other parts of Asia, like China, like Korea, like Vietnam. And so I was flipping through the book and I was like, and then I came to this page and I was like, oh, that is some sick
That's
armor.
cool. Yeah.
That's cool. And my interest level shot up.
So it's cool, but cosplayer
But-
Steve is like,
Yeah.
I get what's here. It looks dope as heck. But those like shoulders, I think
The
they're supposed to
shoulders
be,
are completely.
I think they're supposed to be stone, but they're rocks.
Do you think that's stone or is it like
it's World
fur?
of Warcraft soldiers? It's
Yeah.
shoulders. World of Warcraft shoulders.
The pauldrons could be like the World of Warcraft style. They're probably like thinking of like the narrative here is probably made of stone. That's probably material I had. If I was a cosplayer, I'd make that out of foam, and I would like be spending a ton of time just like painting it and things like that. Stone armor obviously has some significant disadvantages, but purely aesthetic. With a world where magic and stuff can really like exist and you could really use these mystical things to make things fantastic. I love it.
Do you think that's stone or do you think that's like fur draped over the lamellar armor? Because just the way it looks as it looks like it's draped over the pauldrons.
I feel like it's meant to be like crab, like chitinous crustacean,
Or like a growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going there for chitin. Like it's
Chitin?
shell.
Well, like I love the helmet, like with the claws.
Sure, yeah. It's super, super cool. You even have like those things around the armor's neck. I don't know what they're called on a crab, but they're the thing you can't eat, and that's how I recognize it. So that's really cool to include that.
It reminds me the most of like Super Sentai kind of armor, like kind of that like that look like Kabuto armor, like Masked Rider, that type of feel.
Mhm.
You know what the Shogun Megazord from Power Rangers. That's what that
Shogun
armor reminds me of.
Or Ronin Warriors, the
Yes.
American version of that old anime. I don't remember the
Saint
Japanese
Seiya.
version. Saint
my
Seiya, I
God.
think wasn't Saint Seiya a different one, or maybe it was just localized.
Oh, you're right. It was different. It was, I can't remember what it was called in Japan, but it was. Yeah, but I did remember watching it.
It was called like Yoroiden Samurai Trooper, Legendary Armor Samurai Troopers. I mean, it's basically Saint Seiya and similar concept.
Now everybody's like Super Sentai, L5R now. That'd be actually really cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, actually, it would be.
So we have Crab Clan families. The Hida family. Sorry, go ahead.
Does it make more sense to go through these like small descriptions, or should we skip right down to like the 1-page in-depth descriptions of each family and school?
Here's the thing about families and schools. Families and schools are actually very different. You could be a Hida and still you could actually
I
be
thought
a
they were
Hida.
supposed to be separate.
They are. You could be a Hida and be so physically weak that you eventually become and you could go, instead of being a Hida warrior, but you have like a great engineering acumen. You could be a Kaiju engineer instead of and still carry the Hida name.
That's really cool. I actually didn't realize that when I first read through this at a fairly quick glance. I thought the families and schools were basically the same thing. So that's really cool to know. That gives you a ton of like storytelling opportunities. That's awesome.
Like the Asako, there's a school for the Asako in here, but also in this book there is another school for the Asako family, which is better for my character class, for my character.
So you pick the clan based on for narrative reasons, and then you pick your family. Do you think for more mechanical reasons?
This is when you kind of start thinking about what does your character, it's more of where does your character come from? Like if you're and I'm just gonna go like real quick overview on this one. Like if you're a Hida, your family were probably rough and tumble. More your dad or your dad, mom, brother, sisters all served on the wall, or, and this is also very important, or you were a Ronin. The Hida family have this tradition called the 20 Goblin Winter. Any Ronin in Rokugan can go into the Shadowlands, take the head of 20 goblins, and they become a member of the Hida clan, of the Hida family, and they are a member of the Crab clan at that point.
Progressive.
Yeah. It's
Another reason
It's
to
like
like the
join a
Crab Clan.
family.
Honestly, it's pragmatism. The crab is fighting a constant war. They're losing people daily, and if they're lucky, those people don't come back from the dead and fight you. So they need all the bodies that they can get. And hey, there's all these rodents running around. Let's make use of them.
20 Goblin Winter also just sounds super cool.
Oh, 20
It sounds
Goblin
like an
Winter,
anime.
it's-
It sounds like a stupid anime. 20 Goblin Winter. Have you seen the latest arc of 20 Goblin Winter?
Yeah, they spent 4 episodes of filler hunting one goblin.
I was gonna say it sounds like an emo band, but that could be
That too.
like-
That too.
That too.
That's a yes.
Yo.
Yes.
We should just make album covers. 20 Goblin Winter. 95
So-
Honor.
Yeah, so that's basically that's a Hida. If you're again like we can go through this if you guys want to read it, but the Haruma, they're basically scouts. They like I mentioned you when I told you like you're going to love the Haruma family. So what happened was the border of where the wall is now, that was the northern edge of the Haruma lands. Most of the Haruma lands are actually in the Shadowlands. There was this Oni called the Maw. Or Akuma, I can't remember if it was the Maw or Akuma no Oni. Somebody will probably correct me. But that Oni went up, invaded Rokugan, and all of Haruma lands are gone. Basically, they are the only family in Rokugan without an ancestral home. So if you're a Haruma, you're a scout. Your family were a scout, and you moved around a lot. Right? The Kaiju, you're engineer. Your family were engineers. You built the wall. You built siege weapons, or you're supposed to go to school. You're expected to go to school for engineering. Kuni, you are witch hunters. These are people that have these are shugenjas, and they specifically go out and hunt people with taint and kill them. Basically, there is no or if you are a certain kind of Kuni and you're more, let's say, predisposed to the lab, you could be researching different things that, the Hida and the Haruma brings back to you, whether they be dead crab soldiers that are tainted or an entire Oni. And you're going to dissect and you're going to research those things.
Oh, so they're like
just-
they're like the frontier scientists.
They are. They really are.
I'm just
And-
imagining fridges full of goblin heads.
You know what? You wouldn't be wrong. You would not be wrong. If you think of like that mad scientist,
Yeah.
if you think of that mad scientist tropes in like the 1950s movie, that's the Kuni. Dr. Frankenstein would be a Kuni.
I get like mad. Any of you ever watch Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, that anime?
I want to. The animation.
I'm getting like strong
really
vibes
good.
with the Crab Clan.
Yep. And the last family is the Yasuki. They are the courtiers and they are the merchants of the Crab Clan. Their job of the Crab Clan is to go to court, petition the emperor or whoever's in charge for whatever the crab needs and get it, and the other clans and get it, right? So any failure, if the Yasuki fails, the crab probably don't have the weapons, don't have the manpower, don't have the jade to do their job. Also, very important to note, the Yasuki was once a crane family. The Yasuki defected to the crab.
And I guess we'll learn about that when we read through the Crane.
You will. What happened with the Yasuki? But basically, crib notes is the Yasuki they were a crane family. They did the same thing. They were the merchants. Then the Doji looked at the Yasuki and was like, "That's just a little bit too skeezy. We can't have you doing that." And then the Yasuki was like, the crab was like, "Wait, you could do all that, and the crane doesn't want you to do that? Join us. That's okay. That's fine. We'll take care of it. Join us." So
Get that crab coin.
yeah, seriously.
So we mentioned earlier that the crab were also stealing jade from the
Yeah.
Crane. Was that the
Yeah.
Yasuki family? Even though they're like the merchants, are they also the
Yes.
smugglers?
They are. Yasuki Taka did not quote unquote steal it. He brokered a deal in which the mantis gave the crab stolen crane jade, and in return, the crab was going to petition the emperor for great clan status for the mantis.
Okay. So those are the 5 crab families in this
Those
book
are
so
the
far.
5. Yep.
What is everybody gravitating towards?
I like a lot of them, honestly. Like, it kind of fuels my point that the Crab Clan could just be a micro RPG by itself.
They really can.
Yeah.
Because these would be like your character classes, pretty much. Because I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like there's mean, I don't know if there's one that really sticks out to me.
I
They
like
also-
the Cooney one. It seems so interesting.
I think
Cooney is cool. Like once again, the goblin heads, like
Yeah.
preserved.
I'm more of a soft shell crab, so I think I would go into the labs.
I also like Haruma.
Yeah. The Haruma, wait until you see the art for the Haruma the Haruma families. The Haruma's got some of the best art.
Kind
So
of
it's
like
our-
the Caillou family, just because it reminds me of like the cool parts of that Great Wall movie, which were all I think the
Where they're jumping?
fortifications. Yeah, where they're jumping, or did they use ladders in that movie or something like?
They had,
I
it was
just-
like they were like pulling them up with pulleys.
yeah,
and-
like it reminds me of the cool like siege tools that were in that film.
Mhm.
They had bungee jumping, and also Matt Damon had cool archery. So
Yeah, shooting his arrow, I don't know, past all the Asian people to attack the big bad.
Yeah.
Wait, was it Matt Damon? I thought it was Tom Cruise.
No, it was Matt Damon.
Tom
Okay.
Cruise.
Tom Cruise's Last Samurai.
Got it, okay.
Different white guy in Asia.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Brandon Fraser in The Mummy 3.
Oh god, that movie was so bad.
hold
I'm
up,
sorry.
Why did you bring that up?
Why did you bring that up?
Michelle, I don't know. I mean,
It's
we were
okay.
talking about white guys in Asia.
Yeah.
They recast Rachel Weisz and the act. Ugh.
I love the Mummy.
Yeah,
I've
but the
never
Mummy
seen The
3
Mummy
is so
3.
bad.
I've never seen.
Oh,
Mummy
the third
3.
one. Oh, it doesn't exist. There was.
The
Well,
first
sorry,
two-
I misunderstood.
I love the first two. But the third one
Yeah.
is so bad.
The other thing I see, just like first of all, I can't pick a family because they're all really really cool, and I probably would have a conversation with my group to be like, if we're playing the micro RPG of the Crab family, I'd be like, what's everyone like thinking of playing, and like I would resonate with a lot of these families. The thing I really like is if you take a look at the glories for each of the families, you'll see the Haruma and the Yusuke are at 39, keeping in mind that only the tens of your glory really matter.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like around the cusp. Like you are so close to like a tangible character reward. It's a really interesting like design nugget. I see it, and as a GM, I would also see it and be like, like how am I gonna set this up? Like you just need the one glory.
Yep.
It's true.
It's and both those families, it's actually going to be very easy for you to be able to do that. The Haruma is like you just doing something spectacular. It's very easy for you to be able to do that with either one of those families.
I'm
Interesting.
wondering if players who play Caillou, do they go like full steampunk?
You know what? If there is a steampunk family, it would be the Caillou. If you want to play steampunk, let me actually. Well, I got you that. I'll link a picture of Caillou. This is the clan. This is the leader of the Caillou family, Caillou Shihobu.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll download this. Whoop.
So as you pull that up, I think page 56 in the PDF / page 57 is where we'll get into the schools. And the third question is basically what school you went to. And sorry, I'm looking at the art now.
Yeah.
I got distracted.
It's a little grainy.
Reminds me of the main actress in Great Wall.
the Great
I
Wall
forget
with the blue.
Yeah, who was that?
Yeah, the crab colors are kind of like dark blue, so dark blue and silver.
Just like the Great Wall.
Yeah, but this is Caillou Shihobu. She's the head of the Caillou family, and other Cailloux, other depictions of Cailloux in the game. This is just an unnamed character named Caillou Envoy, and this is a named character named Caillou Shuichi. All of them is from the LCG.
If you could send me links, that might be
Oh,
easier because I'm just gonna
links.
things are just gonna keep popping up and blocking the overlay.
We're actually going to see some of this art as we go through the schools. Some of the art is reused.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. So
All
let's
these pictures are getting saved in my knitting folder, so this is going to be confusing later.
I keep thinking what Emma said about preserved goblin heads, and for some reason now I'm like envisioning like a segment of the Cooney family, I believe that's like preserving demons from the Shadowlands, like Resident Evil style, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
unleashing. And we go into like
Nemesis.
Rokugan, Biohazard, like there's a Nemesis Oni and stuff like that. And it's
I'm going to send you I'm going to send a
survival
link now.
horror L5R, which is a game
Of-
I would want to play.
That's cool. I would play that. See, for me, if I was to do like the Cooney family character, my character would be like trying to use the goblins to try to make some sort of camouflage that would allow Crab Clan Samurai to go into the Shadowlands. Or like the Cooney family scientist is helping a Haruma family scout make an outfit or a cloak or something that would allow you to go into the Shadowlands and be unseen by all the goblins and creatures there.
Like all the monster costumes in
In
Zelda.
Breath of the Wild.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
With the
My
bokoblin
favorite thing
helm.
to do.
So I just linked a picture of a character, a Kuni by the name of Kuniyori.
Oh,
Oh boy. Well,
Two
that's not what I was
pictures.
picturing.
This looks like it's from a totally different
There's
game.
two. There's two. This is the first one is like him after he's been completely done in by the taint, and the first one is just as he was beginning to get done in by the taint.
Oh. Well, they're both kind of not
Oh,
nice.
that is-
Oh no.
oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that second one. That's what edition of L5R is that from?
That is the CCG version. That is literally the first Kuniyori card. That is like probably the first printing.
So that's the current edition then of.
No,
Oh
no,
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 the
no,
CCG.
no.
AEG.
CCG.
Oh, an AG. Okay.
This is AEGs, yeah.
Oh, that Fu
Someone's
Manchu.
gotta sit that guy
well,
down and be like,
sadly, this is the FFG's version of Kuniyori.
Okay.
okay.
So
I don't know if it's any better.
Who's that?
That's not that.
Kuniyori
That's
also.
the same character. That's not that much better.
it's not
No,
much
it's not.
And let me go back to something I talked about earlier in some of our episodes where I get this kind of like bouncing back and forth between tensions where a lot of stuff in L5R really like excites me. It's like, oh, I could really like play this. And then every once in a while, like I see something and it's something like this. And I'm like, is this really a game that I want to participate in? Is it a game I want to play at like a convention or even with just like friends who might not be Asian and may not understand like where these tensions are coming from? And stuff like this really kind of pushes me towards, being on the defensive, sucking in my gut, kind of like planting my feet.
This is the
It's
weakness.
unfortunate.
This is the weakness of L5R. And
It really
it's
is.
It's that L5R is so dependent upon its history, right?
Mhm.
We see this like, this is where like at least D&D 5th edition did a lot better in that like even though they have mentioned like Karator and Sholung, they're not like let's reuse these art assets and modernize them, which is what has happened here because
well-
we see
I-
the original CCG art and then we see the FFG one and it's like
Yeah.
marginally better.
All I see is Fu Manchu turning into Guy Fawkes. Like,
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The FFG version of Kuniyori is a newly commissioned art.
This one that we currently have on the stream.
It's brand new. you mean.
That is brand new.
Mm.
Yeah, see this is where like FFG is relying too much on legacy L5R.
Yeah, they really are. Because here's the thing: if you do Kuniyori without his Fu Manchu, without that mask, without that hood, who is that? It's not Kuniyori anymore. That's what the community is going to say.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then you just have that character Amon from
Mm-hmm.
Legend of Korra.
Yeah. And so I mentioned Kuni Renyu yesterday to you.
Do you have a higher quality image of this art? So did
The
they
second,
keep the FFG one of Kuniyori?
that is the highest resolution image I got.
Dang.
I feel like this is something that could have very easily been prevented if they had had like an art director or like that was Asian or a sensitivity reader assisting with the production that could have been like, hey, let's modernize the character in another way, please.
Yeah.
So can you say again who is this character?
Kuniori is the head of the Kuni family.
Okay.
He is the daimyo. Remember when I said that there are Kunis that basically stay in the lab and do research on all things? That's Kuniori. That mask is basically not even a mask. That's it could almost be demon skin. We're pretty sure that he.
So he's the one making like the goblin nemesis biohazard.
Yeah.
He's the one that. He's the
FFG
guy
stole your
that,
idea.
Basically, he's the one that Kuniori is basically the guy that's going out and experimenting on dead Onis, experimenting on himself with dead Oni stuff, experimenting on other people with how to prevent taint, and he's basically a bad guy.
He's the Wesker of L5R.
He's Albert Wesker,
Albert
100%. See, for me, if this Kuniori character, like so far, I'm like, we were all like, oh, Emma and I were like, the Kuni family seems really cool. If they put in Kuniori and they put that art or they talked about him, I'd be like, no, thank you.
Nope.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, is this commentary on science? Like,
Yeah.
that's not what I was expecting.
And
It's
that's the tension,
Yeah.
right? It's just like you approach this game and you see something like that and you begin questioning everything else, because it is like generally okay to pull this imagery, to pull like things that inspire and allow you to tell stories. But as soon as it's used in bad faith, when you're talking about people who are from a marginalized background, like it really sets back the product. And this is a golden example. This is exactly what we are talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, I see the Fu Manchu and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
And here's the thing, this is the one thing that really frustrates me. Okay, and this is Kuni Renyu, another really popular Kuni character
Okay, let's see
from
it.
L5R. Why is it not copying? Here we go. This is CCG L5R.
Okay, CCG.
This is Kuni Renyu. I mean, traditionally they do wear that. They do wear the sumo or the sumo mask paint. That is part of their lore.
What's with the red hair?
That's just the character's hair. It's just the way it was drawn.
Reminds me of
All
like Kabuki. Is that intentional?
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah, but it's just like it's the way the character was drawn. I've never seen the character without red hair. And another example of how you do a witch hunter. This is LCG version Kuni witch hunter.
Okay, so this is a witch hunter?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You know, in a vacuum, I see this art and I'm like, oh, like at least I'm interested. Like it's good art. It's objectively just like really cool to look at. But the context of kind of the other stuff I've seen so far really colors how I interpret this, and that's just like human nature. I see the things and I go through chronologically of like how my attention to media, and Steve from 10 seconds ago affects how Steve right now views that image. It's unfortunate, but I think to earlier points, sensitivity readers, more diverse staff really help to evaporate a lot of these problems.
Emma, this reminds me of that piece you and I were talking about, the Kitsune.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I think this is the case where like L5R's lore kind of dive bombs into, to kind of affect a newbie's potential excitement, because we were all super excited about all these clans, and then Tara brought this up, and now we're like, oh, Kuni, the Biohazard as a Resident Evil clan is not quite as cool as we hoped.
That's again, that is my frustration with L5R. It's so a lot of it is so it's so much fun. Like, okay, so before I was going to tell you the story about Kuni Renyu and make you hate the L5R community, because there was an active prize that you could, any named character in the game could be either saved, corrupted, or killed, and the community actually tried to corrupt Kuni Renyu's dog Kiba, because Kiba was getting killed all the time, and so we thought if we corrupted him, we could make him stronger.
Somebody just sent me threw this in the chat.
The original version.
The original version, which I don't like this version at all. It's
I like this version a little bit more because for me that hat has more problematic connotations, I guess. But I agree that neither one of them
Mhm.
are great.
you notice they also changed the eyes.
They did.
Yeah, she's got Batman eyes in the original.
Yeah. I mean, both of them just aren't like, oh, this is wonderful. I don't know. My excitement for the Cooney family is gone, basically. Because I know that from what we've read so far, that you really have to vibe with the lore of L5R in order to tell a cohesive story within this world. And I'm like, don't like that. Because if I'm going to play the Cooney character that I want to play, I'm like, oh, great. Am I now working against my family? Because the family leader is some, like, sketchy-ass dude?
No, here's the thing. You actually won't know what Cooney. If you're playing a Cooney, you wouldn't know what Cooney Ori's doing because he basically he sends orders out through people like basically just messengers, and most of the time he's either hanging out with somebody and trying to pull more Oni back into his lab, or he's in his lab, experimenting on Oni.
If I feel like if I were GMing a game of L5R, which I thought I might do at some point, although listening to your guys' streams has kind of made me a little bit wary about certain things. But if I did GM an L5R campaign, I'd probably throw lore out when necessary. And this is probably a case where I would probably disregard this portion of lore, just use different artwork when talking about that one character, which I do in D&D. When I set campaigns in the Forgotten Realms, I twist lore around. And, if my players are not hardcore, like D&D readers or L5R readers, they won't know. But once again, I think we talked about this, Steve, when I interviewed you one-on-one. That's like the GM or the DM doing a lot of work to laser focus their eyes on potentially problematic content and remove it from the experience that the players don't have to see it.
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that Sar, your table, or Jeremy, your table is going to be a table that I will feel welcome at. But like, in order to do that, you too would have to do a ton of work to, like you said, remove,
It's a lot of labor.
And the labor is on you. It's not the labor is not on FFG.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to edit out these really terrible things. They just shouldn't be there.
I do think we should move on, though.
Yeah, let's move on. So we finished. That's question 2 of 20.
Sorry, I'm gonna add one more thing, y'all. If I was gonna do this, I have never run an L5R game. The head of the Cooney, the champion, or Chimaru. I was just doing Naruto all the way down. So
that's so funny because like a lot of my L5R games have someone unfortunately taken on this Naruto context where we're like running to attack and we're all like we flail our arms backwards like Naruto.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's funny, but it's
yeah, understand like where it's coming from, and then like excise the harm, which is what you've already described. And when you're pulling from something that's like closer to the culture that they're actually pulling from, you can lower your defenses a little bit. You can relax your gut a tiny bit.
Okay, so part 2, role and school. Question 3, what is your character's school and what roles does that school fall into? In Rokugan, duty is central to every samurai's life. Samurai fulfill many different positions for their lords. Bushi are warriors, guards, and instructors by trade, and courtiers are politicians, emissaries, and civil servants. Artisans are creators, advisors, engineers, and scholars of art. Shugenja are priests of the samurai caste who share a special bond with the kami. I'll say this again. I hate that all of these are just samurai.
At least they told us they'd all be samurai and we'd all be entrenched in death and violence.
Yeah, it's just like I'm a politician, but I'm also a samurai. Can I just be a politician? No, you have to be a samurai because you have to fit into this Bushido system. So you have to have an honor, glory, and status score because you're a samurai.
This is true.
So why bother saying Shugenja are part of the samurai caste when they're all
supposed to be samurai?
Right. Hey, it's better than the original advertisement for L5R, the card game, where they actually said Shugenja wizards.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, this this bond and the secrets of their ancient schools let them invoke miraculous powers that more common religious leaders, who I guess are still samurai, cannot wield. They are few in number, but substantial in their influence. Monks nominally stand aside from society, but many samurai enter a monastic order. Most commonly, they do this in their old age, but some become monks much earlier. At various points in history, monks have been known to wield considerable political influence, even if they are supposed to be above such earthly concerns. Finally, some samurai serve their lords as shinobi, though none admit it openly, for the work of these assassins and spies is incompatible with adherence to the code of Bushido. Yet, they still have honor scores. Yet this is where there's this weird clash, like we talked about with like Samurai Clan and Samurai Honor. I mean, not sorry, Scorpion Clan and like Scorpion Honor and Scorpion Loyalty, which is so weird. Shinobi are often deniable assets, and many were never samurai. However, some members of the samurai caste are trained in these arts, especially among the Scorpion Clan. While shinobi are quite rare, their influence over the course of history has been as substantial as it has been difficult to prove. Each school fits into one or more of these role categories. A school's role has little in the way of direct mechanical effect, but is descriptive of the preparation and duties that will affect your character's mindset and options during the campaign. For instance, if you want to play a character who wields supernatural powers, you should select a Shugenja or monk school. If you're more interested in social exploration than combat, you should choose a courtier or artisan instead of a bushi, or vice versa. If you want stealth and deception to be an important part of your character's story, you might choose a shinobi. During this step, a player chooses a single school within their clan for their character. If you wish for your character to study at another school outside of your clan, ask your GM's permission and work out a set of circumstances that would have allowed for your character to receive their unusual training. Okay. So we have, on the left side, we have techniques in curriculum tables. We have a little guide here. Each technique in a curriculum has its category noted with an icon. We have kata, hiho, invocations, rituals, shuji, maho, and ninjutsu. Okay. Then each school has their own name, description, rings. I would assume ring values or bonuses.
Ring value bonuses, basically, yeah.
Okay. Starting skills makes sense, and then of course honor. Which is really weird. I'm curious to see what they do for the shinobi and honor, since honor appears to be both like relative and not in this game. Techniques available: starting technique, school ability, starting outfit, and curriculum table and mastery. All right. I'll
pause here.
Yeah,
Just
go
because
ahead.
Even in the red in the side, of these seven, is it seven? 7 things. Clearly there are non-English words except for 2.
Yeah, they don't explain what they are.
And I've talked about this before, but like I'm as someone who's reading it critically, and even as like a casual reader, I do notice when we are using non-English words in an English book, and then I wonder why we did it in the first place. Right? Like, was there no Japanese-esque word for an invocation? I highly doubt that. So why do this here? And then the question is unanswered, and all I'm left with is like tension or friction, and that leads into like me being more critical about things, like when I see witch hunters and things like that.
I suspect that a lot of it is like the work of multiple authors with varying degrees of understanding of the Japanese language, and then I would assume there's got to be somebody who's like, oh, that word's too hard to pronounce, let's just make it invocations or something like that, because we know this happens in this industry.
Reminds me of sorry, Steve.
No, I was just agreeing. Go ahead, Jeremy.
It reminds me of fan subbing. Like,
Sure.
remember, there's some meme where it's like some screen cap from a fan sub, and it's like this person's nakama came to meet them, and then in like asterisks, like nakama means party in the Japanese language and stuff like that. It's like, what Japanese words have fan subbers chosen to leave in their subtitles?
I mean, even that from like a cultural like diaspora and like other concepts, the best subs, in my opinion, are the ones that actually say, "Hey, a joke was made, and if
Mhm.
you're an English speaker, you wouldn't get the joke, but here is me, the subber, giving you a little bit of education and using this as like a jumping off point about like the nuances of language and how like cultures and stuff differ and how it's absolutely gorgeous."
It's like the footnotes that they put in like a manga when they choose to use the Japanese word.
Oh yeah, the people in the chat. Keikaku means plan. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of actually.
Mhm.
It's a meme. You can look
So
it up.
Mahar actually in the chat said that this is a carryover from 4E. They used the same terms in 4th edition.
They did. They did.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on Hida Defender. So they're like the strong Crab Clan.
Mm-hmm.
Producing.
start with
Oh, go ahead. Steve.
can we start with the art?
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Yes.
Steve. Do you want to start with the art? Because like, I'm sure we have things to say.
So first off, if you just look at this art, it's dope. It looks cool and like I get it. Strong, powerful woman.
She
Look
doesn't
at
look
those
Asian.
arms. She doesn't look Asian. But like when I look at this, I'm just looking at like she looks badass. Look at those weapons.
How the hell is she carrying the
Look at
hammer
those
like that?
biceps. And that's exactly where I was gonna go. It's like you begin to look at it a little bit closer. You spend more than 2 seconds on it, and you're like, how's that hammer being carried? Why is the face drawn like that? Where is she looking? And all these kind of things. And if the book had like garnered a whole bunch of good faith with me, I probably wouldn't look at it more than 2 seconds. I just like, this is really cool art. Let's read the text. But there are other like things that happen where I have this idea that, you know, I gotta really look out. I really gotta suck in my gut. I gotta really plant my feet. And this is a situation where I see it and I'm like, what's going on here? And I think more about it.
Also, that hammer, it just looks like something straight out of fantasy Europe.
Yeah.
For me, like if you think about like a Japanese hammer, like war hammer, you'd think of like the like Otsuchi, but it's like a wooden mallet. It's not like this like iron war hammer that looks like it was used by any one of Gimli the dwarves' relatives.
It's a Thor hammer when I look at
Yeah, like or like Mjolnir
Yeah.
that this character is carrying from like the very bottom of the shaft.
How
With
long
one
is
hand.
that? How long is that handle too, considering the elbow position and where?
Yeah, and it
Would
might,
have
it
to
looks
be-
like it might
Yeah.
extend past. I don't know if this is the art, but it looks like it might extend past her hip.
It
But then,
does.
like, what
Oh,
what
yeah.
kind of hammer is this then?
It's a pole arm
It's a
hammer
pole arm hammer.
because
I
you know
do-
you want to take that distance, and instead of just like poking or stabbing, you want to carry the momentum all the way around.
Okay, here you go. I got the full art.
Oh,
The
so what,
full
so what was
Sort
that?
of
So what was
like
that link
the
you sent?
crab emblem.
The first one is it's another female Hida character, Hida Ouchi, which is a better
Oh,
depiction of
that's better.
female crab characters.
That's really dope.
That
I like
hammer
this,
makes
like-
sense to me. This pose makes sense.
Hmm She's the daughter of the Crab Clan champion.
I would
Okay.
definitely put my hair back, but you know,
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, tie
it's
it up.
artwork.
But yeah, that's the second link I sent is the Hida Tomonatsu, the full art.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it looks like it might be longer.
Yeah.
And looks like it's resting on the ground or on the
It's just,
on that
just an
wall.
odd design.
I don't want to rag too much on the artist because like I'm sure the artist is getting a lot of input from like various sources.
Mhm.
Um,
But you know what? It's like if you are working with a company and you're the artist and the artist has to deal with input from the writer, you'd think that, you know, they'd send drafts to the writer and be like, hey, how does this look? So, I mean, there's a company that I'm working for right now, and they've sent me multiple emails with draft art and be like, hey, these are Asian characters. I'm not Asian. What do you think? Right? That's something that's good. But
Mm-hmm.
they could have done that here. I mean, they could have done that with all of the really terrible art we've seen.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. I wouldn't say this is terrible, but
It's iffy. It doesn't. Again, the picture doesn't make sense.
I want to see more muscle if you're gonna be using the hammer like that all the time. But
Yeah, I want like Like Amanda Nunes arms.
If you're gonna have a metal or even leather strap, don't put it over your bicep because that is a muscle that will
you can't
expand.
move.
Flex, yeah.
You want to put it right up here, like right where the bicep like meets and ends, because then you look dope as heck.
Do you think that's or do you think that's leather?
Even if it's leather doesn't expand.
It's time for I've reached my limit. Should they snap off?
That's all it's for.
It feels like it might be metal. Yeah.
I'm
really happy, Daniel, that you think you can like flex through leather. That's
Hey,
that's
if I'm gonna play a Hida defender, that's something my character is gonna do, Steve, and you can't tell me that my character can't do that.
You got me on that one. No,
also, Steve, the chat is asking you to flex.
I don't do these things just for chat.
Screen cap.
I was gonna say I kind of like, part of me kind of does like how non-subtle the Crab Clan logo is on the hammer and on the back of the armor.
Yeah.
Because I imagine the Crab Clan as being like, yeah, we're fighting the Oni, and you're gonna know it's us, and they leave like their imprint and everything.
Yeah,
So
I'm
part of me
surprised
kind
But
of
it's not even on the side of the hammer you're gonna hit with. It's like you hit with like.
It's all right. Has all of this art come from initially the LCG, or is it some of the art in the core book new?
Tomonatsu is a new commission for the LCG. She is a named character in the LCG. Fun fact: in the story, she's already dead.
Okay.
What? She was dead the whole time.
She's dead the whole time. Like literally, she appeared in one story and she died in that story. But the only old art that I'm seeing in the Crab Clan section is only on page 60, which is Kuni Renyu.
Okay, so let's move to the. We haven't even read the school stuff yet.
I was gonna say we should read the school stuff. It's actually really cool. And if I were to make a suggestion, I would read like the opening paragraphs, read their school ability, and then read their rank 6. Because if we remember back to way back when, rank 6 is like requires decades and decades of dedication, and would be like very emblematic.
Rank 6 is you are like Miyamoto Musashi.
That's exactly it. Yeah, but like after his youth and like having gone through all those struggles.
Okay, so. Producing the most stalwart protectors of Rokugan against the horrors that mass beyond the Kaiu Wall, the Hida Defender School teaches its disciples fortitude, courage, and practicality in equal measure. Goblins, demons, and the unliving are not honorable foes, and Hida defenders cannot afford to behave as though the fight against these creatures is fair. While any warrior with a strong will can attempt to slay a stone-skinned Oni or die in the attempt, the Hida defenders know their duty is to endure. They have to suffer. From their heavily plated armor, which she is not wearing, to their techniques for shattering iron hides with mighty hammer blows, Hida defenders have developed an armory and fighting style that gives them the utmost advantage and greatest chance of not just victory, but survival. I would have switched that around. We want not just survival, but victory.
If the hide was made of iron, you want to pierce it. You don't only want to smash through it if it was like chitin or like chainmail. Anyways.
But what about in like medieval Europe when you're fighting against somebody who's wearing plate armor, and if you were like denting their joints, they would have a harder time moving.
I mean, it's true. A lot of different strategies. And
maybe if like a Kuni is like, yo, you got to get me that, the iron-hided Oni, bring it back alive. You can immobilize it by hitting its iron knees, apparently.
That'd actually be really cool to include.
I think that'd be cool. Also, like she has some katana and wakizashi here. So, okay, so way
of the crap is your school ability by going to school here. Ignore the cumbersome quality of the armor you wear. Once per round, you can resist a critical strike, which I think is pretty cool.
Yep. They sound super dope, and then when we go back and we saw that like really cool armor that Jeremy was like all about, And then they're like, oh yeah, they wear this like heavy plate, and then we see this art, and it's like she's barely wearing armor.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that artwork that I liked would be better positioned here in the book, perhaps, if they really want to show off what a heated defender would look like going by the text. They could have even done like a Samus like Metroid type thing where she's just wearing the armor and maybe like the headpiece is removed, so we can see the importance of this character. Something like that would have been cool.
Yeah, kind of like Oshi. how Amelie Hutt did Hida Oshi. That art. I mean, she's not wearing the helmet, and she's actually in motion. It looks like she's in motion.
Yeah, and again, that was this piece over here for the stream.
Yeah,
that one's really cool. I like this piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
You said this character dies almost right away. Is that from like lack of armor or some other storyline?
Well, okay, so Hida Tomonatsu died in the first fiction. In the reboot, she's a brand new character to LCG. They reboot, in the first Crab Clan fiction, she's basically a demonstrate that the sacrifices the crab has to make. Basically, Hida Kasada, the Crab Clan champion, was fighting an Oni. He is needed somewhere else. Hida Tomonatsu was the one that delivered the message to Kasada. Kasada has to go. Tomonatsu's like, well, you got to fight this thing. It's like, well, Tomonatsu was like, I'll fight it. Go take care of this other stuff. And she sacrificed her life to let Kasada do what he needed to do.
So wait, who's Kasada? Because a lot of people in the chat are saying, show us Kasada.
Hida Kasada is it's actually.
So while you find that, I'm gonna read that rank 6 ability that Steve called out. The mountain does not fall. It's a mastery ability. At the beginning of your turn, you may spend 1 void point. If you do, ignore all of your conditions, terrain, and negative persistent effects of techniques and abilities. Do not apply your disadvantages to checks. If you would die, you cling to life for a few moments longer instead, but still die when the effect ends. This effect persists until the end of your next turn.
It's cool. It's flavorful.
It's cool.
I get it. It's rank 6. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. I think that's neat. Whoa, that's sweet. That's some like Shredder shit.
Yeah.
It does look like Shredder. I love it.
That Tetsubo with like the giant spikes.
Hida Kasada, the Great Bear, tallest man in Rokugan.
How tall? Steve asks.
I like that's the thing.
I think he last clock was over 7 foot, but I think he gets taller with every iteration and every story.
Does he have like almost like a Lubu type of mythology where he is so big that he cannot lay with a woman lest he kill her?
Well, he has. Oh God, he has 3 kids. So he has 3 kids, all from the same mother.
Married to the largest woman in Rokugan.
We don't know, but there's that family is all sorts of screwed up. But
start writing the next novella.
Hida Kasada is here's the thing with Kasada. He is like probably the clan champion that has failed his duty the most. Like the Crab Clan has one job: stay at the wall, fight the Onis. And what does Kasada do? Twice? He marched the entire army to the capital. Twice. To try to take over the empire. Twice. The second time, this is really funny. So there was a storyline turn.
Oh
no! Switch the overlay.
Going back to our Crab Clan Resident Evil talk. This guy just sounds like the Chris Redfield of
at the end of RE5 when he's punching the boulder.
Yeah, this dude punches rocks.
Chris Redfield, the biggest
Switch it back.
Switch it back.
I'm sorry,
okay.
guys. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
But,
It's okay.
I'm just
timing.
So it's a live show.
Chris Redfield is the biggest transformation between games. Dude just got so
huge.
Jacked.
He gets huge, and he's still huge. Yeah. Well, except for Resident Evil 7, he decreased slightly, but now he's back to huge again.
Yeah, Chris Redfield. I'm still a Leon Kennedy fan.
But so Hida Kasada, his thing is he had one job: stay at the wall, defend the wall, don't do anything else but that. And he marched his army to the capital to try to take over twice.
Well,
feel
third
that.
time's a charm. So
Oh, here's the thing. So there was a storyline tournament in which the ancestral sword of the emperor was going to be given to a clan, right? The crab won the tournament. Hidakasada, that's when Hidakasada marches the army to the empire, to the capital the second time to try to take over. And how the crab got the sword of the Hante was the emperor, who was already possessed by Fu Leng at this point, rammed it into Hidakasada's belly. That's how the crab got the ancestral sword of the Hante.
Interesting.
Dang. Okay.
Damn. Okay. Let's. So I read through this this blue bit over here. It's kind of the same sort of stuff we've already read. So let's move on to Hiruma Scout School. Let's start with the art.
Yes, Hiruma Skirmisher, one of my favorite.
I fucking hate it. When
Really?
No, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Whoa, chill. Chill.
You did pace that sentence out a little.
Why did you pause there?
Sorry.
I hate this. Sip my drink.
Listen. No, I hate it when they wear their bow strung over their body like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Are you into archery?
I've been shooting bows for like over a decade.
Yeah.
And
that's my brother, and he always notices problems in
and
archery.
And like one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me in my actually I've been shooting bows for as I've been playing TTRPGs, so like 2 decades of shooting bows, historical and modern. When I was in my early 20s, I was shooting a historical English longbow, and I drew, and the bow cracked.
Ooh.
And that was one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me. And ever since then, I'm super paranoid about my bowstrings. Like, I wax my bowstring and everything. So, like, doing that, like, seeing that in art really bothers me.
I get it.
Also, where are the arrows?
Hold on. I linked the full art there.
Okay.
Why would you need arrows?
Because you're a Hiruma scout.
Yeah, I don't see the arrows either. I don't see arrows in the full art either.
Yeah, there's no arrows. Maybe she's like on the run from some goblins and she's used all her arrows and her quiver's gone. Like,
it's
maybe
possible.
There's a story here.
It could be a story. I mean, she's the Harumas. Everyone else kind of like work in units. The Harumas, they generally work alone.
Yeah, okay, so I like the art. I like the way this looks. But if I were a Hiruma scout, also she's gone out. She's got a bow, which is a 2-handed weapon, and she has a spear as well. So every time she's got to fire her bow, she has to put her spear down. That bothers me.
I would also tie up my hair.
Yeah. Or she shoots her spear and she just runs and gets it every single time.
Oh, cool.
I mean, hey, that's a thing, right?
I will say the mechanics of the functionality of like how the art portrays the role and what have you, not great. But as I go through these art, the representation aspect of it, like how they represent Asians, ignore the first one. But this one right here, I really like it.
It's a lot better. She's like fierce, determined, strong.
Yes, she looks like if you didn't look too hard about like the mechanics of it, is a scout. And not necessarily like an Asian scout. She is a scout who happens to be Asian.
Yeah.
And I see that. I respect that. And that's we'll see that a lot throughout the art as we go through it.
Also,
her hand wrapping's also wrong.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that because without wrapping it all the way up through your hand, it's just gonna get loose and stuff like that. But mechanical stuff, the artist probably didn't know
like
that.
Anybody who's done martial arts and has wrapped their hands. Also, it depends on what she's wrapped. Maybe this is a band-aid for a wound. Maybe, who knows? But
she didn't wrap her thumb.
She'd wrap her thumb.
That thumb is gone.
But also,
right.
But also for me, it's like she's got these shoulder pauldrons on, but nothing else.
It's like that's the thing in like games where they're like wearing one pauldron, like and nothing else. It's just one pauldron.
It's the Warcraft
Like-
effect.
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
Warcraft.
Yeah.
How
effect, I
are they
think.
just like stuck onto the sleeves? They're just like bouncing around.
Yeah, because all you're gonna hear through the woods and whatever is clankety 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 clank.
It's a magical
Yeah.
floating pauldron, just one of them.
Yeah, that's the answer. Magic. Just magic.
Magic, yeah.
Mhm.
And I guess
Magic.
like
Magic. It's the Speed Force magic.
there's always the fantasy art versus like practicality and reality. Like saying like you would want your hair back, you wouldn't want long, loose, and flowy stuff on if you're running around. The one thing of the armor with the big shoulders, it's like you're not getting through any doors. Like, what
Nope.
purpose do those serve? Like,
Oh, I
how
forgot
do
to
you
mention
turn?
those armor at the heading of the families. Those are actually arts from the CCG called they were basically a series of cards called the ancestral armors of
Mhm.
whatever clan.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Oh,
Okay.
I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Someone in chat also mentioned it. I think it's a really cool idea. But just on your time, I'm happy to read through this really quickly, and then we'll go to the next school.
Yeah.
So the Shadowlands never sleep, and neither can those who watch them. Scouting the Shadowlands is a dangerous task, and one that requires intense preparation. The Haruma saw their land swallowed by the forces of the demons, and they will die before seeing more of their empire lost beneath their shadow. Train to observe and get out. Only striking when reward exceeds the risk. Samurai of the Haruma school are about patience and endurance above all else. They are masters of survival and mobility. When a Haruma scout is rotated out to serve within the borders of the empire, their haunted look and wary demeanor marks them as a veteran. Part of your school ability is the Flickering Flame Skirmisher. After performing an attack, you may change your stance. If you do, you get to increase a little bit of some stats here.
Mhm.
And lastly, as rank 6, a master of this, you have Slayers / increase the severity of critical strikes you inflict on targets of silhouette 3 or larger by your ranks in survival. So the
cool.
more you know about the land, the
Mhm.
more deadly you become, which I think is actually
That's cool.
dope.
Like, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. Caillou Engineer School. Let's start with the art.
Caillou Shuichi. I have full art here.
Yeah,
He
'cause
looks real disgusted with whatever he's looking at.
Caillou Shuichi is
it's my dad looking at my homework.
what's the word? Is an engineer.
Yeah, I mean the whole that whole like family. They're all
So
engineers, right?
he's basically like the guy that goes out. Am I? Can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome.
Your video froze though.
Oh,
Nope,
you're
you're
back.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. No, but yeah, the entire family is engineers. So he's actually a character in the story, and he's probably just looking at plans and not being too happy with them. It's like, you expect me to kill something with this?
Looks like a crossbow.
It looks like a ballista.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a ballista, I think.
It's a ballista.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all say that, but like my grandfather looks like that. Just like
Yeah, I'm just like I see nothing wrong. Like, I think we've all experienced a person like that in our life.
Yeah. I have.
It looks like just a disapproving Asian father. pretty
Yeah.
much. He's not looking at a ballista. He's looking at a picture of
Awkward.
the potential son-in-law.
Jeremy just like cut through all of our hearts. Jeremy,
I got
you
some
have a
reactions.
rank 6 Slayer slash
Seriously.
I mean,
Like,
with cutting words.
cutting words. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
so going through this, the Caillou Engineer School, since the Crab Clan's founding, the Caillou's duty has been to arm the clan samurai to defeat their enemies, be it with weapons, siege engines, or insight. As the inventive arm of the Crab, the Caillou Engineer supplies all of these things: train in logistics, versed in tactics, and filled with ingenuity. The Caillou Dojo is not only a warrior college, but also the foremost engineering school in the Empire. It is the Caillou engineers who support the foot soldiers of the Crab, building bridges over inhospitable terrain, crafting armor strong enough to withstand even an Oni's blow, and forging the rare Caillou blades, which are among the greatest swords in the Empire. If the situation is bleak and there is no clear path to victory, then the Caillou engineer will forge one.
I feel like this art. I mean, well, there's like nothing like. I mean, we're all just thinking like, oh, a disappointed Asian parent, but I think this art is like a wasted opportunity. You could have had like a Caillou engineer, like literally like crafting a cool looking sword or anything like that. But it's just like, I'm looking at these plans and I'm disappointed. That's just like, I just wanted more. I don't think the art's bad. It's just, I wish there was something different there.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely better images of Cailloux.
Mm-hmm.
I think artwork depicting like the cool parts of the Great Wall movie would have been good here, like some guy repairing like a gigantic ladder or ballista wall on top of it or something like that.
Yeah, or like fixing another person's armor in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then the emphasis on the actual, like, in the workshop paperwork side of it is also important.
Probably the realistic part of being an engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you know, like holding up the piece of paper and then holding up the blade or looking at the blade on the table and.
Yeah. What I'm having a hard time with is the name Caillou versus Caillou, the children's show.
Caillou.
So the way, like, it's a very subtle pronunciation difference, but like, I hear Caillou, and I'm like,
I'm trying my best to like draw it out a tiny bit.
yeah.
Caillou.
Caillou doesn't belong in Rokugan.
Caillou versus Caillou.
Yeah. So rank 6, ingenious design. When you construct an item, you may add or remove one quality from the item. You must describe to the GM how the item possesses or lacks the usual quality, and the GM is the final arbiter of whether an addition or subtraction is appropriate. I'm sure we'll find out if that's really powerful or whatnot.
The power lies in the GM.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this power will change between SAR's table and like a table that might just like pick up a Gen Con. So
Yeah.
I see that.
Okay, let's move on. Kuni Purifier School. Oh, and that's that piece of art we already saw.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already talked about that one. Let's try to get through this. The Kuni Purifiers master knowledge and prayer to deny the Shadowlands forces any foothold inside the Empire. To this end, they have specialized in invocations of the Earth Kami to strike down or banish the evil servants of Fulong. From the time of their school's founding, the Kuni Purifiers have sought to understand the nature of the threat the crab fight against. This has led them down dangerous paths, and no small number have fallen to the very corruption they study. The Kuni Purifiers paint their faces in stylized kabuki-like patterns to protect their true identities from the insidious tendrils of the Shadowlands. Eternal vigilance, shading into unending paranoia, is the lot of the Kuni Purifiers.
So like it's a cool idea, but Shadowlands aren't going to recognize them because of some paint.
Yeah, I was like,
This is some like Clark Kent glasses stuff.
Here's the thing. It's it really is, and they had to the only thing I know, this is legacy, that paint is legacy from CCG, from AEG's era, because really, but I think they just added the paint because they needed the Kuni to be different from all the other Shugenja schools. Because really, if you think about it, all Shugenjas really do what the Kuni does, and the Kuni just does it to a greater extent.
I guess.
Okay.
Guys just make me think of like the Crab Clan Witchers, pretty much.
It really is,
Yeah.
and the thing is, like my thing with the Kuni is that face paint thing is just lazy.
That's like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Is it
I don't
magic
want it to
face
be
paint?
like I'm just
Ah.
ripping on what exists because I don't know everything within the game, but like taking something like Kabuki face paint and giving it some minor explanation for why they're doing it, and I don't know.
The
Doesn't
chat
seem
is
like a
saying
strong
sometimes
one.
it is magic. Apparently, sometimes.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
Magical paint.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So, they have this gaze into shadow ability. Once per round, when you make a check targeting or involving a tainted being, you may choose a number of your kept dice in your school rank containing what's the pedal
Strife.
symbol?
Strife symbol.
Set each of these dice to a what is that?
Success.
Result. You cannot use this ability if you are unsure if a being is tainted or not.
That's a pretty good ability.
That's pretty cool.
Just let them convert stress to more successes, and so. Yeah.
So Purge the Wicked is an ability they have. Once per game session, you may spend 1 void point to wield an invocation against all the wicked in your sight. Instead of affecting its usual targets, the next invocation technique you perform targets each tainted being within in range. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. So, and that tainted being, it's your friends and your enemies as well. If your friends are tainted, they're getting hit too.
I mean, it's flavorful. Rank 6, we're not going to do like a balance analysis here. But
no, we're not. We're just kind of looking at like, how does this portray Asian people is kind of what we've been doing with this stream. So let's go to Yasuki Merchant School, Courtier. Enemies of the crabs say the Yasuki are little more than merchants. The Yasuki would counter that they are much more. They are masters of the arts of commerce and the flow of commodities, considered an uncouth and deplorable set of skills in Rokugan. The Yasuki can acquire goods and services, even ones that a person may not yet know they need, in exchange for promises of assistance for their family and the clan in the future. The Yasuki always keep their bargains, and they ensure that their partners do the same. The Lannisters. Wait. Okay, so Way of the Carp is their ability. Is the carp?
I honestly don't know why.
Okay,
we haven't seen carp as a school or a family or any kind of like signifier.
But they're also the Crab Clan, so.
Formerly Crane Clan.
Formerly Crane.
Now of the Carp School.
Yeah.
Of the Yasuki family.
Yeah, well, I wonder because they're also their rank 6 ability, their mastery ability is Treasures of the Carp. The chat is saying that the carp is their family icon, but they are of the Crab Clan, like Emma said, formerly of the Crane. Crane eat carp.
No, it's just the it was just their family crest is the carp. And I don't know why the family crest is the carp.
Just because of the usual Asian symbolism of the carp?
I guess. I mean, this is what it looks like, and I kind of don't want to link it.
That doesn't bode confidence for me.
Wait, is this what you just linked? No, that's not it.
No.
From like a general design, it's very easy to just add a sentence, be like, just as the carp XYZ, XYZ, so too does the school such and such. Instead, it's just kind of like a little disconnected. It's not offensive. I don't it is what it is. It just makes sense. But I mean, there it is.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know why it's the carp. It is on their mon.
Yeah,
the Crane territory was up against the shore, right?
Yeah.
So did they come from like a fishing area?
No, the Yasuki is so this is the Yasuki were founded by a wise woman Yasuki after she aided Kakita, which is one of the founders of the Crane Clan, in solving his quest to gain Lady Doji's heart, which long story. But anyway, for the first 300 years Yasuki served nothing in here says anything about why they have a carp as their family mon.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll find out later. But yeah. I think we've got 12 minutes left.
This was the last.
This is the last of the schools.
Yep.
For Crab, yes.
Honestly, the least interesting one to me.
They just seem to be really good at social stuff. Like I'm looking at their abilities. It's like exchanging gifts, talking to officials, giving the right things to the right people. They're for, I think, like the player that wants to just do social stuff.
You got to have the GM who will also allow you to do that.
Yeah, who will encourage that.
If I'm not going to play Yasuki Merchant at a con and then everybody's going to be like, nah, let's just go fight. I'll be like, okay, great. Let me go talk to these goblins.
Look,
20 of them.
Yeah. I'll talk to 20 of them and I'll get them to line up so my friend with the bow who shoots spears could just get them all in one shot. We'll bring them all back.
All in one go, yeah.
Also, what is this Doom crossbow that everybody's talking about at the chat? Everybody keeps mentioning Doom crossbow.
Oh God, is that a 5th edition thing? Because I have no clue.
Is that referring to like a crossbow in the Doom games? That'd be cool.
Is there a crossbow in a Doom game?
Maybe in Doom Eternal. I don't know.
I haven't played Doom Eternal yet.
I haven't played Doom Eternal either.
I would love a Doom game where you load yourself into the crossbow and launch yourself into enemies. Dope. It's very Doom-esque. That's the aesthetic.
It would match Doom, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move to the next question.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so many more questions.
So many more. So many clans to get through. Oh wow, that art.
Honestly, I don't think we need to do. Yeah. So, well, we got through one. I mean, 6 more to go.
Yeah.
I think it's page 88 in the.
Yeah, here you go. Honor and Glory.
Which one?
Yeah.
Honor and Glory.
Oh.
Yeah.
We spent a whole 2 hours talking about that.
Yeah. No. That by the way, that art is called Miyamoto's Fury.
What clan is this? Is this
Dragon
clan?
Dragon.
Okay.
They're all dragon. That's called that's supposed to be the Rising Tide Army, which is the main military force of the Dragon Clan.
This section's more about like characters, Giri and their ninjo and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Who's your character, Lord, and what's their dude? That's a Niri. That's a Giro and Ninyo. Then you got the relationship with their clan, which is, and also what very important question 8. What does your character think of Bushido? Does your character agree with Bushido, or do they not agree with Bushido? Do they agree with with the clan's tenant? What the clan's
If your character's belief in living, if your character's belief in living by an orthodox interpretation of Bushido is very staunch, gain +10 armor, honor. But then, if you're a Scorpion, per the lore, you don't care about honor, or really Bushido, because you kind of operate outside of it, but you're still bound by it.
You do. You are, in a way. That's when we eventually get to the Scorpion clan. That's when I can really get into the nitty gritty. And the thing with Scorpion is there's just a lot of nuance. It's just a lot of nuance.
See, then when we get to like strengths and weaknesses, these are the kinds of questions I like in an RPG.
These next 2 sections are interesting because it gets into some of the interesting things about L5R, where it gets into actual like character anxieties and
yes.
philosophies that govern a character's
like strengths and
weaknesses.
I like that.
Like it's like what does your character enjoy doing? Like my character enjoys one of my things that my character does enjoy doing is he enjoys gossiping, right? But he absolutely freaking kids hate him. Like he goes anywhere near kids and all of a sudden there's probably something sticky that's flying at his face, right? And that's just his character. Kids, for whatever, that's an advantage and that's his disadvantage, right? He gets an advantage when he's gossiping and trying to get secrets from people. He also will get a huge penalty if he ever deals with kids.
I like these questions a lot. Like, what activity like most makes your character feel at peace? I think that's cool. I like how it's like what holds your character back the most in life. I think is really neat. And like, as far as I could tell, these don't really. I mean, okay, so choose one.
It's mostly flavor stuff, but I think
there's
really
a little bit here with
Yeah.
Advantages and disadvantages.
If you enter a situation in game where these pop up, then it's kind of up to the GM to make you do rolls, and then the story will extend from there. So, like with the character that I often play, like she's insanely impatient, and she can't really sit still. She'll always kind of go for the quicker option, even though she's a lion and is supposed to pay attention to tactics and be very careful. So this gets into like part 5, personality and behavior, maybe like how does your character react in stressful situations. So there's been a number of times where I've been planning where the other players are trying to like tactically come up with an idea that's well thought out. My character, even though she's supposed to excel at that, is more, can't really fight the urge to just rush in. And
Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy
Yeah.
Jenkins. Yeah. And every time I resist the urge to Leroy Jenkins, I got to make a roll. And it's led to some interesting story scenarios. So
See, that's
I think
cool. So questions like 9, 10, 11 are things that I honestly really like to see. It's cool. I wish other games prompted you that way with questions. Like D&D, it's like, okay, bonds, ideals, flaws, personality traits, right? But these are like, this is more thought-provoking, because you're going in and the GM's like, okay, Emma, what activity makes your character feel at peace? And then you got to think, we're like, well, you know what, like I'm Cooney in the crab. Where I'm at peace, am I at peace with all of my preserved goblin heads? when I'm arranging everything, like
More heads the better.
more heads the better.
So people in the chat are pointing out that question 10 actually advise you to look at a list of specific adversities that your character has to deal with.
Take a look.
And the one that I chose for my character is actually sworn enemy. Basically, my character is extremely jealous of her brother, who became a samurai before her, succeeded in his Genpuku ceremony, whereas she did not, and then bested her in the duel. And she's convinced with the thinking that he cheated somehow. And so every time I come into contact with him in a game, there's this huge kind of like sibling tension that results. And my headcanon is that her brother didn't really cheat. He just did better than her, and she has to come to grips to that.
Really cool.
That's
yeah,
cool.
and
That's cool.
there's like what's the word here? Like advantages and disadvantages, like lost arm or lost hand, a fractured spine, blindness, or even here, Gaijin name, culture, and appearances, bluntness, stuff like that. So there's lots of options here for as far as character creation. Like you can make your character have completely unique, completely different from any other crab character you have out there.
So the Gaijin name, culture, and appearance one, I've played with like 3 dudes so far, and it's so funny. We're playing a samurai game. All these dudes have wanted to take on that Gaijin appearance. It's funny. Like you're playing D&D and you want to be a samurai. You're playing a samurai game and you want to not be a samurai. You want to be a white person. And basically in every scenario, those guys just ended up, the game Neo, where you're playing as like they've just ended up playing as that dude pretty much. Which is, I have some issues with. Like, I feel like there's much. If you're going to take on a Gaijin name, there's so much more you can do with that than just play as like Neo.
Yes, I'm in the Crab Clan. I am, a scout. I go by the name of Thomas Cruise. Specific. So I see. So specific adversities need to be picked when you have something that's holding you back. So it's not necessarily, so you're supposed to take one of these and kind of put a narrative spin on it.
Yeah, basically you take that's why that's the 20 questions. That's like, what has been your character's greatest accomplishment in life, and that gives you a distinction, gives you something that you are kind of known for. What holds your character back in life? Adversities. What makes your character feel at peace? That's a passion. Like my example, gossiping. What concerns, fear, or foibles trouble your character the most? That's an anxiety. Like fears are legitimate anxieties here.
Yeah.
I've noticed when creating characters that it is interesting that L5R encourages you to specifically get into this fairly deep kind of psychological questioning of what trauma has your character endured, and what is their mental state, and how is that mental state going to manifest in game, which is something that a lot of RPGs haven't done.
Okay, so that's Gaijin name. I see.
The one you just scrolled by is like the dude that's actually ability where you're like actually haunted by a ghost.
I was like, this one is haunting void.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that like Adam Ali is in our chat and would want to know more context on the art on page 121. But that's supposed to be with Gaijin name, culture, and appearance. But here's the thing. It doesn't actually tell you what these other cultures are in this world.
So if you were just to read this person wearing a turban would be a Gaijin.
Yeah.
So,
and the chat is saying that like, yes, this information's there, but I'm like, I don't see that right here.
No, it's not. Here's the thing.
Path of Ways.
This I'm going to.
Okay, so I
I'm
got to get the other
going
book.
to-
Yeah.
I'm going to say this information is absolutely not accessible for anyone who has just this book. I'm going to say that because here's the thing: you open this book, you see that picture. Do you know where to look at next to get an explanation of why that guy's going there? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I find there isn't a lot of explanation for the imagery.
It's
So,
kind of there.
yeah, for me,
Nope.
I'm like, don't know what I'm looking at.
That what I linked is the full art picture of Rama Singh. He was a CCG character.
So I recently played through the Legend of the Five Rings. The Game Master screen comes with a mini adventure where you go into a tortoise clan lands, and you encounter these Gaijin from the Burning Sands, or these traders, I think from the Burning Sands, for the first time. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but it's supposed to be your character's first encounter with non-Rokugani.
But okay, so he is supposed to be from a place called the Ivory Kingdoms, which is
or maybe the Ivory Kingdoms. Yeah, I'm not sure.
The Ivory Kingdoms. So you got Rokugan, you got the Shadowlands, you got the Ivory Kingdoms right here. Ivory Kingdom is supposed to be India. Basically, It's India, right? So he's supposed to be a traveler that made it up to the island of Spice and Silk, and he stayed there, and eventually he swore fealty to the Mantis clan and became Yoritomo Singh.
Hey, Jeremy, so your character, you said you have impatience, and is
Yes.
that the anxiety you picked?
That is, yes, that is one of the anxieties that I picked. I picked impatience, and the other one is jealousy. So that ties into my character's, impatient demeanor, as well as kind of the tension that she has with her brother.
That's cool.
And in my experience playing, these have really only come into play when, as kind of as fluff, but kind of as, social situations. There's been a couple times when the GM has brought my brother into the narrative, and as well, certain situations when our character has been trying to plan out a tactical battle, and my character has had to resist the urge to Leroy Jenkins in, and then she has to make a roll. And then even if I succeed on the roll, I think if I succeed on the roll, I get to remove strife, which is something that you accumulate throughout the process. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. And then, so we've kind of gone to question 12, which was the anxieties. What concern, fear, or foible troubles your character the most? Then 13 is, who has your character learned the most from during their life? So you have relationships, which is really neat. And then we've got personality, which we've talked about. What do people notice first upon encountering your character? 15, how does your character react to stressful situations? I think that's cool.
Unmasking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is
Okay.
unmask. Oh, I see. Using strife and unmasking for role playing. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so when your strife surpasses your composure level, then your character is supposed to unmask. If they do not unmask, they basically have what amounts to disadvantage in this game.
Yeah.
In that their rolls are basically less good.
And then I will ask, because it's 9:00. Are all of you okay to just finish the 20 questions?
Yeah.
So that next time we can just go back to the clans.
Do it.
Let's
Makes
do
sense to me.
it. What are your characters' pre-existing relationships with other clans, families, organizations, and traditions? Another relationship thing. I like this because this is where you could talk to other characters, other players. I honestly really like that they literally put 20 questions. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I actually feel tension around 20 questions. And the reason is because to build a character,
It's a lot of work too.
just it's a lot of work. To really like dive into a game, I really need to have like the mechanical, like how I interact with the world, my relationships, my foible, and my goal.
The thing is with these 20 questions, though, a lot of these, if it's like a first-time player, and again, this is labor for the GM, you could just be like, hey, let's just get the key questions and then get into the game, learn how to use these dice, learn how to tell stories, and then as we, add more, it's something that I might even add as part of the story. Like question 15, how does your character react to stressful situations? If that comes up in the story, maybe like, okay, let's talk about this now.
That's
And then
exactly
kind of,
how I feel.
yeah, like kind of like scaffold onto the character creation as you're playing, which is what
It
I
is
would
a
use
lot,
these questions
yeah.
for.
It's a lot to take in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I'd-
even
It's
question
like-
16, it's like you walk into a town and it's like, hey, this is like Dragon Clan town. Anybody have any relationships with these people or anybody here, any contacts? That's just standard GMing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like coming from completely outside of this, I feel like I would need a week or more to develop this, and then I wouldn't be comfortable saying that I know how this plays out, like because I don't know so much of the environment and the lore. Like, what does this mean for the actual gameplay if I make a decision in terms of my character?
I can tell you what my experience was like doing that when I joined my
Yeah.
group.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
We didn't go through this for the beginning. We just used characters from the beginner box, but these things arose as we were playing through that beginner adventure because the other people at the table were more experienced in L5R. And so it amounted to me getting told about honor and Bushido and relationships with clans by a bunch of white guys. And they were white guys that I knew, and it was not harmful, but it was weird.
Okay,
It
yeah.
was a weird
Yeah.
situation to be.
One of
Yeah.
the things I've noticed with the way this is written is they're constantly mentioning campaigns. It's almost like they're setting the expectation that you're going to play more than one session. Like in this game, it's like they're telling us that we have to have a session 0 and for this campaign, and like my impression of it so far is like this is not a game that I would want to one shot. I would want to have multiple sessions where I can explore these questions instead of just like rush right into it. Let's make my samurai and let's just start killing goblins.
Bring him to my lab.
Bring them to the lab. Yeah.
I'm torn on that because it's kind of like I can respect someone who's like, my game is not meant to be played in one session. A game is meant to be played over the course of like several weeks and like several sessions. I can understand why you'd want to do that.
No, I'm saying that like I say there's nothing wrong with that. Like the longest D&D game I ever played was like 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that because you get to know your characters. But like for a new person though, because we're talking about the perspective of a new player like Emma, if you're reading this and it's constantly talking about campaigns or long adventures, you're like, I don't even know if I want to commit to one.
Right.
Or if I'm doing this right, or if everyone's just going to be mad at me, and it's going
And I
to be
guess
like
that's
an
the-
unfulfilling experience. Like,
Yeah, and I guess that's the value of the beginner box.
Yeah, the
Like-
beginner box adventures is pretty good. It's good for jumping it. It does simplify some of these things. And the character that I'm playing now is basically based on the beginner box Lion Clan character. Although she's grown and kind of absorbed these questions and created her own answers for them as I've played. So I feel like this is a game where you kind of need that sort of beginner box experience more than other RPGs.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, at this point I don't think I would be like, hey, you've never played a TTRPG before and you're really into Japan. Here's the core L5R book. I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, hey, here's the beginner box.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I would not pass this to somebody who has never played a TTRPG before.
This is not the book. The beginner box absolutely is. It's got pre-generated characters, and if you want to, there's you could go online, download.
You got to go online to get the crab and the
grab the
unicorn.
crab,
and I think
crab,
mantis,
unicorn, and
maybe.
scorpion.
Yeah,
Scorpion.
scorpion. Yeah.
There's also a blank one in there for you to create your own if that's what you want, but it's still in the framework of the beginner folio.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone ever just made a family?
Yes, actually, in Path of Waves, you can go ahead and create your own school and therefore your own family.
You can create
I would
your
do
own
something
Gaijin, too.
squirrel related.
Yeah.
Squirrel Clan.
Yeah, you can create a squirrel clan if you want. I mean, in a
Perfect.
bunch of
the
people,
little Hokkaido squirrels with the.
yeah, a little in Florida we had a manatee clan.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We should create a
I want to
clan
be the
on stream.
clan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mine would be elephants, just like big and just like get big.
Speaking of elephants, I gotta show you the one that almost became the emperor. Or sorry, not emperor, warlord of the colonies.
If this isn't elephant related, I'm gonna be real disappointed.
That's
It's
another thing.
elephant related.
I keep picturing all of these like
I would do a Tanuki clan.
people
That's what I
as
would
like
do.
Nuki clan.
anthropomorphic
right
animals.
Yeah. So that is the
Okay.
that
Is his name Chisai?
his name is Chisai.
Which just means
Cute.
small.
Yeah, it's small.
What?
His name is Chisai.
Crab
and he almost-
clan.
and because he is a named
The
character
Crab Clan
with
branding right there.
Yeah,
right
it's like
there,
right there,
sticking on the
right
elephant's
there.
head.
And that jade crab claw.
yeah,
What?
and so there was a competition of who would become the warlord of the colonies because they just Rokugan just got all these new territories and they have colonies now apparently. And because he's a named character with his own card, he was eligible to be the warlord of the colonies.
I'm down with that.
That's
I'm
cool.
for it, yeah.
The idea that the intrinsicities of like humans and animals and like how we're all connected like that, you can totally code that in. I'm down with that. It seems like they're trying to do that, where like humans take a lot of like their inspiration and their clan structure, their family structure from animals.
Yeah.
That should probably go both ways in a fantasy world.
Mhm.
I can understand not doing it, but you know, I if it happened, I wouldn't be surprised.
One thing I failed to mention, like when we were talking about the minor clans, most of the minor clans families are actually Japanese word for the totem animals.
Mm. So I think one of the things we should end with, we have the last couple of questions. How would your character's parents describe them?
I think it's a great question.
It's a great question. Great question. Who was your character named to honor? It's a cool question. You could do some things with it. It doesn't have to be like another samurai.
It is a mechanic thing, though.
But yeah, I'm
then
seeing
you
that
do
on the
roll.
next.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, what is your character's personal name? That's interesting. And then, how should your character die? That's the question that we talked about
Mhm.
at the beginning, and I guess this is worth reading. All proper samurai fully expect to die in the service of their lord. And it is said that every samurai lives at all times 3 feet from death, the length of a katana blade. However, some deaths have more meaning than others. And there are plenty of samurai whose outward facade of courage hides a deep-seated fear of mortality. How would you like your character to end? Will they fulfill their destiny and join their ancestors in Yomi, the realm of sacred ancestors? Or will their soul be forced to undertake another cycle on the celestial wheel of reincarnation? This has no mechanical implications, but you should keep it in mind. Your GM certainly will. I don't like it. I don't like how your GM will certainly keep in mind how you will die, because that takes me back to like playing D&D in high school, and I have this one friend who was just like, I'm just going to kill your characters, and I'm going to have fun killing your characters. And this is just giving the GM fodder to do that or threaten your death.
It is adversarial.
I don't like
and
it.
It could have easily been written as, this has no mechanical implications, but you should keep in mind your GM will want to know what your character values beyond life.
Yeah, or
done. Period. Like if you had like a discussion, it's like so much more meaningful. But unfortunately, what we've done is we've created like a set of players who basically just like aim towards death.
Yeah. Or because all samurai, it plays on that stereotype. It's like all samurai are like, I'm ready to die. Like,
yeah.
I would have said like, what is your destiny, or what are you fated to do? And if you want to say, yeah, I'm fated to die a glorious death on the battlefield for the Lion Clan, so be it. Or maybe I'm fated to, discover the secret of the Shadowlands in my laboratory of goblin heads. Or like, I'm fated to invent a weapon that will allow us to fight the stone-skinned Oni. And I think that's far more interesting, because that doesn't give the GM, like you said, Steve, adversarial fodder. It gives the GM something that you can collaborate on. Mm-hmm. It gives you a goal. It gives the GM an idea of what you might want to do in the future. I much prefer that. And I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah. Well, as like a narrative tactic within wider like fiction and whatever, isn't it usually only like a select group of people or one individual kind of has this laid out fate that they're kind of aware of?
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't that a tactic to be like, this person knows they're going to die in this way, and or someone else knows they're going to and they don't? Like, having that happen for every single person playing is a bit much.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, they can't die yet because that's not what they said in the character creation.
There is an upcoming L5R adventure that probably the one that I am actually quite excited about the most, called Wheel of Judgment, where you start out with your characters are dead, and they
basically.
need to, yeah.
Oh.
Hey, characters. All your characters that have died, they're coming back.
Yeah, and they go to Jigoku, which is like hell,
and they get judged by
Japanese
MO.
mythology, and they get judged by MO, the kind of like king of hell in traditional Japanese mythology. And so that you can look, if you look up Wheel and Judgment, like the cover art kind of
pulled it up.
Conveys.
All I hear is
what it's
Wheel
about.
of
Oh, Wheel. Oh, yeah.
Spin that wheel.
And so that is a potential campaign where maybe this could really, this mechanic, this question could really come to life.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's really not a bad. Sorry, Emma. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, this is an aside. One minor note: Yomi is from Shinto, and the wheel of reincarnation is Buddhist.
Yes.
So this happens a lot in Japanese adjacent stuff. Is this mashing of Shinto and Buddhism? Yeah, just putting that out there.
Yeah, I mean,
different things.
I mean, we see that in so many Asian games like this, where they've mashed together different elements. And in Japan, like we've seen throughout this book, especially at the beginning, remember when we were reading the religion section, it's like, this is Buddhism, this is Shintoism, and
that's Tao.
And oh wait, there's this other religion that they're calling Bushido.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The chat really loves you, Emma.
Do they? I never actually see the chat, so that's nice.
Emma's the star. Yep. Oh, Steve typed that. Yeah.
Emma, you're the star of the show.
Emma, you're the star.
You are
of
the
show.
star, Emma. Yes.
Now I know.
So those are the 20 questions, and I'm sure we'll revisit many of these as we look through the different clans. But we have a lot ahead of us. So next Friday, what clan are we going over next? What is it? Crane clan?
Crane.
I think Crane's next.
Alphabetical order. Crane
clan. So we'll be doing the Crane clan next. That's going to be exciting. Before we end our stream, let's go with our overlay. Let's start with Jeremy. We'll go Jeremy, Emma, Sar, Monty, Steve, and then myself. We're going to go clockwise from Jeremy. Say a little bit about yourself. What have you got going on? Do you have any links to share? Socials? Oops.
Yeah. So if you guys want to read the article that I wrote highlighting the work of this particular channel, I mean, I can just drop it in the chat, the Twitch chat.
It's
right there.
Oh, you already got it. Cool.
Yeah, it's entitled Dungeons and Dragons Book Oriental Adventures. Receives a sensitivity disclaimer. And, you know, if you're watching the stream, you're probably already aware of what happened with D&D and along with all the work that you guys have done. But this contains some interesting tidbits from both Steve and Daniel. And I would also, this is not something that I created, but if you guys, like, we've talked a lot about like the idea of like a micro RPG of like the Crab Clan fighting the Oni, or like, you know, biohazard monsters and stuff like that. But if you guys want like a simpler kind of Japanese themed game that can let you deal with that stuff, I highly encourage everybody to check out Yokai Hunter Society, which is an indie RPG made by, I believe, a Spanish guy living in Taiwan. Apologies if I got that wrong, but because he's living in Taiwan, I got to give it some love. But it's called Yokai Hunter Society, and it was available. Art. Yeah, it was available on the itch.io racial injustice bundle, a racial justice bundle. And basically, what it is it takes place during the Meiji Restoration period in Japan, the late 1800s, and you play as monster hunters, yokai, and it plays into the ideas of Japan was industrializing during that time and communicating more with Western nations. But there are these, you know, monsters, these yokai lurking around in the darkness, and you just play as monster hunters. And it's like a little 32-page booklet. It's got really sweet art, and if you like that type of thing, then I highly encourage you to buy the PDF.
Sweet. I actually bought that racial justice and equality bundle, so I have this game. That's
Yeah.
sweet.
Cool, yeah.
I ran 3 sessions of it recently, and it was quick and easy. And I basically made a little campaign about kappa, those everyone's favorite Japanese turtle. And it got into these really deep questions about like what is the relationship between these farmers and like the kappa that irrigate their fields. What does industrialization mean for like yokai and stuff like that. So because of that game, honestly, I'm no longer as interested in running an L5R campaign as I was, because that game kind of hit the notes that I specifically was looking for.
Hey, maybe we should do a read
yeah.
through. Maybe we should do a read through of this game, Steve.
It's quite short. Yeah, it's quite short.
Yeah.
Just do like.
But also, like,
Yeah.
side note, that's actually very accurate in that during the Meiji era, with modernization and westernization, there was an obsession and increased yokai sightings across Japan. And there was a booming folklore studies that really came around that time because there was that contrast between like rural, marginalized, and central urban. So like spot on.
I can grab my physical copy of it, I think.
Sweet.
Amazing.
That's sweet. So Jeremy's got the. I'm assuming you just printed it off. Oh,
yeah, here it is. No, actually, I got the PDF and then I sent away for the guy to just print me a short copy. It's basically like a zine, and it's got really, it's got sweet art. Like.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and it's got pictures of Oni, and other yokai that you might fight against, and yeah, it kind of hits the notes of what I was looking for in like a Japanese themed indie role playing game. So.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So, Jeremy, you've got that article. You got a ton of stuff going on. You're always welcome back onto the stream. Let's go to Emma. What have you got going on? Well, Emma, you've just done your first sensitivity reading gig.
I did, and it was a great experience. So, yeah.
And are you taking on other projects?
Definitely would consider. I should be writing my thesis, but like, man, this stuff is so much more fun.
I dropped out of school, so
yeah.
And we have the same supervisor.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. So yeah.
Are there specific subjects, Emma, that you'd like to sensitivity read for?
I am most comfortable with Japan, and it's hard for me to really say like for sure what about Japan, but for the most part, most like if not all of Japan, pretty good with.
Nice. And I put your Twitter handle underneath the overlay. So if you're working on a game and you're looking for a sensitivity reader, get Emma. Sorry, you're next. What have you got going on?
Nothing for me to shout out for myself, but I am going to. I sent a link through to Zoom chat. That is a video of Jeannie Calvar and Corvar, as well as another one of my buddies in the L5R community, Finbar. They just did it. They interviewed the author of an upcoming L5R novel called The Curse of Honor. That is that's David Annandale. That book is coming out October 6th. They just did an interview with the author, and that book is the first of hopefully a new line of L5R novels, not just novellas, but actual real novels. And this one focuses on the Crab Clan.
Nice.
Crab Clan. Steve, you gotta be more enthusiastic when you're repping the Crab Clan.
Scorpions got to keep their composure.
Yes, they do.
Okay, Monty, how about you? What you got going on?
Oh my gosh. This kind of sucks. I actually sold a couple short stories at a book review, but they're not out yet, so I can't give you links. I can't even talk about it yet. So
we'll just next time, whenever it's ready, just let us know. We'll be like, Monty's got all these things.
Right. So there's a lot of things I want to talk about, but I can't.
NDA land. Hey Steve. You Gold Emmy winning best podcast or best-selling author. What have you got going on?
So right now, all I'm doing is I'm on these streams, and you can follow me on my Twitter handle's right there. But the most important thing that I'm excited for is that depending on where your geographic location is, we are beating COVID-19. Things are looking better. We are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. My gym is reopening. my particular class, we've decided to continue being remote, which I think is great. I haven't worked out with my class in 5 months. I'm very excited. I've been being able to maintain some semblance of fitness as per my definition personally at home, but I miss my class. I miss my support system. I miss my coach. And I'm very, very excited for us to jump on a Zoom call and just talk about how we move and the joy that it brings us. So all y'all out there, I'm going to use my time that Daniel's granted me to say, hey, our bodies are very important and take care of them, whether it means remembering to drink water or go for a walk or pump out 100 push-ups. It will vary between person to person, and I hope that you find some joy in the movement of your body.
And of course, if you are interested in Steve's written work, you can head to unbreakablerpg.com. You can purchase yourself a copy of Unbreakable Volume 1. And if you are an Asian writer, artist, editor, and you want to be involved in future Unbreakable works, like Volume 2, doesn't have to be D&D, there's a little form at unbreakablerpg.com that you can click on to apply to be in Volume 2. So, like, Jeremy, if you've got stuff you want to work on, Unbreakable RPG, Monty, Sar, Emma, do it up. For me, Asians Represent, we did a live show last Saturday in front of 5,200 people for Gen Con Online. And if you missed it, it's now on our YouTube channel. Just like this stream normally is. So you can head to our YouTube channel and you can watch the first episode of the Crane Core Chronicles. That's going to be our convention series. The convention series will follow a special organization, a force in the Xia court, and they go around ensuring harmony within their borders. That was our pilot episode. I'm editing the podcast audio, I'm editing the audio right now, so by the time this L5R stream makes it to YouTube, which is the Monday following, that audio will be available on our podcast stream, which is on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Steve, I really like how you talked about health, and I think one thing that you always talk about, and I credit this to you as well, is at the end of every stream, no matter how heavy or light, this was a pretty light stream, we always say, take care of yourselves. So Jeremy, Emma, Monty, Sar, Steve, make sure that you take time to decompress, relax. For me, it's always tough because there's so much talking involved. But make sure you take care of yourselves. Make sure that you take time to self-care after the stream. It's tough just sitting in front of a camera and talking for 2 hours. So take care of yourselves. As for my work, we've got a ton of stuff with Asians Represent. I think one thing that I want everyone to do, if you're still watching, please follow Agatha on Twitter. Agatha finally has a Twitter, and that's Mighty Shrimp with 2 Y's. So please follow Agatha. We are going to start a new series on this Twitch stream. It might be monthly, and it's going to be called Wuxia Wednesdays. And Agatha is going to be doing a Hearts of Wulin actual play. So, stay tuned. Follow Agatha. As for me, I don't have anything new. I'm NDA land for a couple of things. I think later this month I'm going to be releasing a new zine through my Patreon, so you can head to patreon.com/DanielHKwan. I'm releasing Volume 2 of Denizens of Mountains and Seas. That's my Chinese OSR Monster Manual zine series. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Asians Represent, of course. If you don't follow us now, you can follow us at AZNS Represent on pretty much everything except for Twitch, which is just AZNS Rep. Monty, Emma, Jeremy, Sar, thank you for joining Steve and I. And honestly, and one other thing. This is just for the stream tomorrow. Jiangxi Part 2. How could I forget? Tomorrow at 5 p.m. we are doing the finale of our Jiangxi Blood in the Banquet Hall actual play series, where I play as an Asian grandma.
Beautiful.
We run 88 noodles.
88 noodles, and we're playing it on August 8th. It's like we planned.
My
this.
God.
At
I didn't even
8:08
realize
p.m.
that.
Oh,
At 8:08 p.m. at 8 seconds.
Yeah. So, look, this was planned. Double happiness tomorrow. Join us. It's going to be sweet. But if you missed it and you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be on the YouTube channel. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Please take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And you know what? Stay awesome. Bye.
Bye.